Yo, Joe. Yo, Joe.
Huh?
What
What's up? What's up, Roscoe?
what you listening to, brother?
Oh, bro, I'm just sitting up here listening to Eddie Murphy live doing his raw bit.
Oh, okay. Okay. I see you got a little Mount Rushmore there, comedians, man. Kind of got me thinking, brother. Who's actually on your Mount Rushmore of comedians?
My Mount Rushmore. Well, you know, my Mount Rushmore has the Chi-Town trifecta with Mr. Bernie McCullough, Mr. Corey Holcomb.
Okay.
You know, and of course we're gonna round that out with the Robin Harris. And the fourth member of my Rushmore is Mr. Eddie Murphy. Who do you have on your Mount Rushmore?
You know, it's interesting because you actually have three guys of my Mount Rushmore on that picture already. So we'll go and say the names that I see. Let's see, we got Carlin, we got Chappelle, and we got Murphy. And the fourth guy, I would sub out Bernie and put Chris Rock in place of Bernie. So that would be my Mount Rushmore. But
okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, but it also got me thinking about a conversation that we've had before, dude. And that conversation was about who's actually the greatest comedian of all time.
Who's the greatest comedian of all time? So when having that particular discussion, we have to take in a few criteria: popularity, style of jokes come into play, the era in which the comedian lived in. I think all that matters. I think all that is up for discussion to determine who is the GOAT. And the only reason I say that is because it's like a building block, a pyramid. You have a base. You know, we could go back to Moms Mabley. She was pretty damn funny. You think of Red Fox, even Richard Pryor. But we know that today's modern comedian, for the ones who are funny, they needed those individuals to come first to be trailblazers. But you do raise an interesting question. Who is the GOAT of comedy? I don't know. Who do you say stands on top of the hill as king or queen? Because you may have a woman as your GOAT.
Yeah, my GOAT, and I don't know if this will be a shock to people or not, but my comedian, the greatest comedian of all time to me would be Eddie Murphy. And the reason that I say Eddie Murphy, first of all, I want to say that there's just a lot of comedians who bring a lot of things to the table. A lot of different, whether it be the fact that, of course, first of all, them being funny, but there's some who could sing, you know, some who are going to acting, great actors, you know, that whole deal. But yeah, I think when you talk about just a total package, you know, of things that they bring to the table, I think that Eddie Murphy exemplifies kind of, you know, if these guys were baseball players, Eddie Murphy would be considered a 5-tool player.
Okay.
Because he brings kind of everything that you need to be a complete player to the game, you know. So, but what about your take, bro?
I feel the same way. I think of something you just said, some that can sing, because when you think about comedians, I think about Jamie Foxx and his versatility. Mm-hmm. Not only was he a admirable comedian, or is, I should say, I'm not even going to take that away from him.
No, he's great.
he also has a very in tune singing voice. He can play the piano. As of late, he's been showing his dramatic and action side.
Yeah,
He's grown from what he was on In Living Color. His physical comedy, out of this world, if you ask me. Wanda, as far as like characters are concerned, I think that Wanda character takes the cake, and so
you know
what's
the
that?
one, and my bad for cutting you off, bro. But
You
the one character that used to crack me up, big time. There was a character that he played on the Rock show, if you remember that show, and he was the next door neighbor. If you remember, for those who do remember, he did play a character. I forget the character's name on the show, but he was the next door neighbor, and he was just so funny in this role to me. And a lot of physical comedy there. The way that he walked in, just yeah, we gonna have to pull up a video or something like that of this guy. But yeah, just an amazing character from the show. But like you said, just a versatile dude, Jamie Foxx.
Yes, and the only reason I highlight Jamie Foxx is because nobody really mentions him along with the greats. But I think as far as honorable mentions, if basketball, if comedy was a basketball team, he's either number 5 or he's 6 man off the bench, in my opinion, just because of what he encompasses as an overall entertainer. Because at the end of the day, comedy is entertainment. Jamie Foxx, he goes all out, balls to the wall, more than a lot of other people. However, I do agree with you 100% that Eddie Murphy is the GOAT. I looked over his catalog and his movie catalog, and not only does he have like the stage presence, he has the children's movies, he has the rated R movies, and a lot of them were blockbusters. His versatility, I think about Vampire in Brooklyn. That wasn't a very well panned movie, but in retrospect, that is an excellent movie. I think he was a victim of his own success when that movie came out, because so many people, because they're so myopic in the way that they view the world, they have pigeonholed Eddie into playing a particular role. And the second that he stepped out of that role and did something that some may consider to be demonic or of the occult only means hidden, so chill out. They kind of got afraid and ran for the hills when Eddie tried to flex his versatility. But since we both agree who's the comedy GOAT, who do you think is of the honorable mention, since we have no dispute on who the comedy GOAT is?
Yeah, well, there's so many people. We could go, for me, there's people like Will Ferrell. I think of Adam Sandler. You've already named Jamie. Jamie is outstanding to me. I think of other guys who I think of in kind of a different realm. I don't put them in the tier of like the Chappelles and Rock and all those guys and Murphy. But the guys like Mike Epps and Martin Lawrence, they are funny, physical guys. They bring a different element. To me, more of a street level element, which is dope. You know what I mean? But I think with guys like, when you go back to the Chappelles and Chris Rock and those guys, there's such there's a social commentary and an intellectual element that they bring to it. That just makes it so much more fulfilling, when it's also funny, to boot. So yeah, but yeah, my honorable mentions are the Will Ferrells and Adam Sandlers, and we could go some other guys. There's so many comedians that I could think of. I just can't think of them right off the top of my head, but the two that I named right off the top. What about you, bro?
Oh, for me, it's definitely the Mac Man. Him being on my Mount Rushmore, not to be partial because he's from the Shy, but Bernie Mac was a true comedic genius. His stage presence, just his delivery. His delivery alone made him a funny man. I even think about some of the different roles that he had in different movies, like Dollar Bill on the Players Club. That's a classic character to me. Somebody who projects boldness, but is really a coward, and Bernie Mac embodied that role. I just love Bernie Mac. His stand up to me, was bar none. And I don't know, I miss him. Even on his television show, he has so many good episodes on that show. When you look at it in retrospect, there was always a lesson there. It showed his growth from his mother effer days. You look at a man like that and you can only applaud him. I don't know. George Carlin, his commentary. I'll let you take that one because I know you love Carlin.
Oh, I'm a big Carlin dude, and really I'm one of those dudes because he's one of those guys when he was here, rest in peace to the great George Carlin, but he was one of those guys, and for those who don't know, he would be the white guy in the picture, that you see right now, but he was a guy who started off in comedy a long time ago. You probably have to go back to, I remember seeing him in black and white, so that would have to be the 60s at least, where he's doing his comedy and doing his thing. But visually, he looked different, of course, when you go back and you look at these videos of the old Carlin, before he kind of takes on this beatnik kind of look, but he still had the same kind of flavor, when you go back and you look at that old stuff, and I have, and it's just like, man, it's funny how he's actually like kind of used some of those characters that he created in some of his acts, and how later on in his career, how some of those characters he kind of morphed into some of these guys. One of the characters actually became his person a little bit, so just funny when I think about that kind of stuff. But the social commentary was something that was big from George Carlin for me, as something that was something that I always loved. Highly intelligent dude, high level of social commentary, and a guy who wasn't afraid to say anything and just say it how it was, and a white guy who would plainly say that, these black guys on the court, they better. There's no two ways around it. You know what I mean? You want to talk about why, the one era goes from looking one way, when you think about how the 60s looked and how the players moved and everything, and how the fact that there was not many black guys, or none probably, but then the game and how it morphed and how it looked, and just all the changes that happened, and that being the result of just black people, and somebody like George Carlin would just point it out in a very funny way. Some of those type of things. So I just thought it was great that you would have a guy who wasn't one of us, who he could speak to, kind of our issues or anybody else's issues. Asian man, because he was just a guy who was just a worldly guy, and seemed like a guy who just, like I said, got it, but kind of thrust himself into a lot of different situations and experiences in life. So I just appreciated that for me.
Yeah, I appreciated that too. I even appreciated his raw comedy. One of the things that stood out to me, the Kevin Smith movie, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, when George Carlin, he's literally hitchhiking across the country, but he's not just asking for rides, he's offering blowjobs, but he's insisting He's literally like, yeah, let me get around. I'll give you a blowjob. And he's doing it gladly and proudly. You know, he's a happy male whore,
Yeah.
which is so funny. A proud male whore. I
No,
always thought that was so funny about his character in that movie. I die even when I see it to this day, and it's hilarious.
I totally forgot about that character, dude. And because I think about another a character he played. I think he was like a pope or something like that in Dogma.
And
You
Dogma,
know,
yes.
yeah. So another just hilarious character in that movie. You know, but yeah, Carlin was the man. You know,
Yes.
I miss a guy like that, but it's great that we do have because with like a Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock, I could say too, they have a lot of his elements in their acts, you know. So they and it's based off just being in tune socially, you know, and that's all it is. And so with Carlin, with Chappelle, with all of these guys who are on my Mount Rushmore, and I think Eddie, he wouldn't get as much credit for being as socially conscious. I don't think, because he hasn't really exhibited that or just hasn't had a chance to, because he wasn't doing stand-up, because he was doing acting and making all his money in that realm and stuff. So I think that Eddie is somebody who is very, very capable of bringing that same kind of thing had he been, you know, involved in the stand-up world, you know, alone and not doing all this other stuff. He would have been able to pull off kind of the same kind of things that Dave, Chris, and you know, George were able to pull off. So
Right. But yeah, I appreciate your love of comedy being along the political and the smart comic storytelling. I'm more so along the lines where I love comedians like Martin Lawrence. I know he copied a lot of Eddie's not routine, but his characters. Eddie was notorious for, I don't want to say notorious, he was very famous for switching up characters and being able to do it. And that was who Martin Lawrence followed. Martin Lawrence, though, he was a protege of one of my Mount Rushmore members, Comedy Mount Rushmore members, Robin Harris.
Right.
Robin Harris had Martin as his protege when Martin was a young man. As a matter of fact, there's a story out there. You can check comedyhype.com. I'll attach the story in the description box, but it talks about when New Jack City was casting, how Martin Lawrence came in and he killed it, how he had everybody laughing. Nobody had any oxygen left in their room. But what happened is he tragically lost his mentor, Robin Harris, when he died. And so once they started to film New Jack City, he couldn't do it. They had also brought in Chris Rock, but as the story goes, Chris Rock wasn't anywhere near as funny as Martin was. However, he got the job as a default, by default, I should say, because Martin was he was grieving too much to be able to do the role. But they said when the cameras rolled, Chris Rock did knock the ball out the park. However, it does make me wonder, what would the role of Pookie have been like if Martin Lawrence was able to actually do that character? And so Martin is one of my honorable mentions. He's not too political with his comedy, but in my opinion, he's still funny nonetheless. Like, if you just need a laugh, Martin Lawrence the guy. You know, he had a string of hits where he was #1 at the box office quite a few times. And so you can't take anything away from somebody like that, because you have to earn that in the world of comedy. That's not just given to you, you know? And so, I don't know. Once again, I agree with you with Eddie being as the king of the hill, and I think his star is going to shine even more next month when Coming to America 2 is dropped on Amazon Prime. And we've actually done a trailer reaction to that movie, so go check it out on our ENT page. You know. But did you have any parting words?
No, just to say that I agree with you with Martin, and he is funny and created some great characters. Him on his show, the Martin Show, some of those characters on there, he just had me. They will be like forever great to me. You know what I mean? Like the old man Otis. Is just, I love that character. I love that man so much. But yeah, so many other ones.
Hey, Roscoe, you know who my favorite Martin character was on that show?
Who's that?
Roscoe. Well, the little snotty nose kid.
little snotty nose Roscoe, you know what I mean? And that's funny, man, because people used to make little funny little jokes when they could, when we happened to be around and watching the show, and little snot nose Roscoe would make an appearance, and you have somebody, oh, that's you, like, nigga, I got no snot. But hilarious character though, so yeah, that's a good character.
Too funny. But yeah, man, that's our breakdown of the Comedy GOAT. Did you have any shout outs or anybody you want to say what's up to?
Man, shout out to Paris. I just want to say what's up to her, and that's it.
That's it. All right, y'all, just remember to like, comment, share, more importantly, subscribe, become an active participant on our ENT, as well as over there on our regular Warheads page. We appreciate all the supporters of our page. We're just trying to get it to grow. Other than that, Warheads, baby.